morning. I'm off to a flying start this morning. I've sown beetroot and chard, and now I'm just pre-sprouting some peas, which is just damp kitchen roll or wet kitchen roll in a plastic container, sprinkling the peas on top and then covering it over with another piece of damp kitchen roll to keep the moisture in. I'm doing Monge 2 Golden Sweet and Tall Telephone. These are both tall growing peas. So I'll put some structures together next week and then plant these straight underneath. If you're interested in knowing about kind of pre-sprouting peas or peas in general, my video on Saturday was all about peas. Good morning. It is Sunday morning. Sorry, I've got stuff in my eye. And I had quite a lot of plans for today. We're going to go up the allotment. I've got a whole load of oxeye daisies that I grew from seed last year. They're in a massive clump and they need to be dug up, lifted and divided. But actually, it is blowing a gale outside, as you probably can't see, because it's a bit, yeah. Anyway, you'll have to take my word for it. It's really, really blowing out there, and that is useless for filming, because not only can you not hear anything I say, but like the camera keeps falling over as well because my tripod is a little bit top heavy. So yeah, trying to think of some stuff to do inside today. Actually, I say trying to think of stuff to do. We've got masses and masses to do inside. I've got so much potting up to do and sowing and the whole lot. So it's not like I'm without stuff to do, but I was really hoping to be outside today. Yesterday was glorious, actually. It was I was editing the pea video which came out yesterday, so I was inside most of the day, but yeah, it was pretty nice, and we got up to the allotment in the afternoon and just had a bit of a potter around, which was lovely. And tomorrow it is my birthday and it's supposed to be really sunny, so I'm hoping to be able to go up to the allotment and spend the whole day up there. But Monday is normally my editing day, so basically I don't know what I'm doing. I haven't got a clue. And on top of that, you're going to have to just deal with the state of my eyebrows this morning, because I accidentally used like thick black eyeliner on my eyebrows. Looked like Groucho Marx, didn't realise, and then now I've had to kind of like try and, I don't know, get rid, but they still look a bit weird. I look a bit surprised, you know. Perfect setup for doing a YouTube video, isn't it? Make yourself look like Groucho Marx. Anyway, I'm rambling. So what are we doing this morning? What are we actually doing this morning? I'm going to pot up some tomatoes. That's the first thing on my list. I've potted up most of the chilies now and the peppers. I've got like maybe 5 or 6 of the peppers upstairs that are just really, really slow growing, and so they're still in their little tiny pots, but they're not kind of outgrowing those pots at all at the moment, so I'm going to leave them alone until they're a bit bigger. But these are my main thing to do today, potting up the tomatoes. Some of them are still quite tiny. I've got like these chaps, these are still quite small. Some of them, whoo, yeah, he really needs to come out. Look at those roots. I'm such a neglectful parent. Yeah, so this is my job for this morning. It's quite nice actually, because this is vlog number 51. So we are one off from being the whole year. And potting up tomatoes was it my first video I did? Might have been the second video I did. Anyway, it was a really, really early attempt at editing a video, which is like one of the earliest ones. In fact, I'll tag it onto the end of this if you're interested in the tomatoes. It'll be on the, you know, up next bit. Yeah, so that was a whole year ago. I'm doing the same job. Well, that's how it goes really in gardening, isn't it? It's not like I'm going to be suddenly potting up my tomatoes in November. I did have a lot of plans for today, like I say, but it's mainly, I've got to go back to B&Q. I seem to be living at B&Q at the moment. I've got to go back there because, you know, I'm doing my room. In fact, I'll show you when I've finished potting these up, I'll show you what's going on upstairs, because I'm sort of paneling the walls, and I'm at the stage where I need to start getting some paint on there. So I've got to do that, and I've got to swap over the plug plates, because at the moment they are, you know, white, just the white plastic normal plug plates, but the walls are going to be really dark, or the lower part of the wall is going to be really dark, and white It's just not going to work. Now I'm going to get painting, really. Whoopsie daisy, I've just tipped soil everywhere. Yeah, so that's my morning. So how are we going to pot up these tomatoes? I'm going to go and get some labels because that's the most important thing. I've got somewhere between 3 and 4 of each variety, and one of quite a lot of them are going to my sister. So I've got to pop those ones up and put them aside for her and grow them on, so that when we eventually can see her again, which is coming up, I can give them to her. But so tomorrow, which is March the 29th, we are the lockdown rules are changing. So we're going to be able to meet up with, I think it's 6 people outside, which is quite exciting. That is genuinely exciting. I was going to do something for my birthday, but then I was umming and ahhing about whether I was going to actually like invite people up to the allotment, like the 6 people that could meet. And then I was like, well, it was actually this time last year. It was just coming up for my birthday, and I never plan anything for my birthday. And I actually had last year. And yeah, it was just before my birthday that we had the entire country just locked down, or the world basically, but in a more personal sense, it was the country lockdown, and I just lost my job in an instant. So basically, I was a bit uncertain about planning something for this one, because I thought I might be I'm not a superstitious person particularly, but I was thinking, oh God, it didn't go very well last time, did it? Like the first time I've planned a birthday party in 10 years, and we had a pandemic. So I was thinking, Christ, I don't really want to do it. We might have a meteor strike or something. So yeah, I haven't planned it to do anything. I'm just going to spend the whole day up at the allotment. And we've got 2 like celebratory weeks. I thought they were going to fall on the same week, but actually they haven't. I'm going to have, God, I've just realised this is normally my like end rambling when I just talk nonsense to you, but I'm doing this right at the start of this one. Doesn't bode well, does it? What was I saying? Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Just not a lot, but I don't want to do massive amount of filming because I love the filming. Like, don't get me wrong. This has been like, I'm not overstating it when I say it's been like a life-changing experience starting doing YouTube. It's been incredible, and the people I've met and everything has been amazing, and I love it. I really do. But sometimes it's quite nice to be able to get on with a job without filming it, because the filming of it, you're having to always think about something else when you're doing it. And part of what is so magnificent about just getting your hands in the soil and getting stuck in with something is that you don't think about anything else. It's just like switch off bliss, something practical with your hands to get on with. And sometimes when you're filming, although it's still really enjoyable, you don't get that kind of total mental turn off when you're doing it. So tomorrow, that's my plan, is to do a little bit of filming just to say hello, really. But basically, I'm just going to get on with it. Just going to get on with it in the sunshine. It's meant to be really sunny tomorrow. And yeah, my goodness me, I'm talking a lot. Sorry about that. What was I doing? Potting on tomatoes. They're going into this size pot, which is the same size pot that I have potted up the chilies into. I've got thousands of these pots. Mainly when I was doing sort of window boxes for people, this is kind of the standard size pot that bedding plants come in. So I have millions of them, basically. I just used to bring them home with me. So this is the size we're going into. So it will be straight in there. I'm going to plant some of these quite deep. Like I said, some of them are quite tall. And I've been talking quite a lot recently about leggy seedlings, because I'm not short of a leggy seedling, but you can plant them deep. And tomatoes you can plant really deep. In fact, you'll notice, like, you know, when you've got the tomatoes just growing like late in the season, they start producing like a bit like mangroves, you know, like when they start producing the roots from the top. I mean, that whole stem is going to produce roots if you bury it. So tomatoes are fine about being buried deep. So I'm going to bury some of these deep, although obviously I've got a limited size with the pot. Somebody like this, there's only so deep he can go, because that's like him full in there. I'm going to cut the jiffy pots off these. Although, having said that, look how well the roots, if I put it against my jumper, look how well the roots are coming through. Like, that's pretty good. I might just cut them open rather than tear them off, because if I tore this Jiffy pot off, obviously it's going to take those roots with it. So I might just open them up on both sides and plant them whole like that. Yeah, right, I'm going to get on with it now. Yeah, so first thing, labels. At this point, this is when I label up things individually when I know I've got a strong plant that's actually going to kind of survive. So when I'm sowing them, I tend to sow in batches with just a single label. And then it's only at this point that I label them all individually. And I do label them all individually because however much I think I'm going to remember, I never ever do. And these labels that I'm using, these are fat wooden lolly sticks. And the other thing I always do is always label with pencil. Even if I'm using plastic plant labels, always use a pencil because it doesn't smear when the water is kind of absorbed into the lolly stick. Sometimes if you've used whatever, a permanent marker or something, it can bleed and then you can't read what you've written. Whereas pencils don't bleed, they stay exactly as they should do, they don't get washed off with water, and then you can just use a rubber at the end, rub them off. Reuse. Perfect. Oh my God, that is the first scent that I've had. You know that tomato foliage has such a distinctive smell. It's completely like the middle of summer when you open up your greenhouse or your polytunnel, or even just picking tomatoes in the sunshine. That smell. I just got my first whiff of it. Oh God, it's heaven. That is absolute heaven. Right, I'm going to have to go and mix some more compost. So I get asked quite often about my potting mix, and it is just a mixture of peat-free potting compost and vermiculite. It's in this Grow More bucket. It's not got Grow More in it. It's not a Grow More brand or Miracle Grow or whatever this is. I'm just using this bucket. I find them easy because they have lids that seal, and so I can keep them outside and they don't get soggy. So I use about 4/5 compost to a 1/5 vermiculite, but the mix is never that even. It's not like I measure it out or anything. I just kind of do a bit of a mix, and I use the vermiculite because it aerates the soil and it also just helps regulate the moisture content in the compost, which is really important for young plants. Okay, so that is the majority of them potted up. The only two that I haven't got around to doing are the Estonian ones and the garnet ones, and I'll just go and pick up some more pots this afternoon and finish them off. And then I've got these little chaps here. Let me come around this side. So we've got one pink plum, a rosella, outdoor girl, Japanese black trifeli, galena, Bulgarian, and two black Russians. That just need to grow on a little bit more. So a couple of those I've only got 2 plants from. But with tomatoes, that's really not an issue because I just start, the moment that they get big enough, I just start taking cuttings. So really, I only need 1 plant of each to kind of get big enough. And then I've got basically infinite number of plants. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Like I was saying with some of those, I'm swapping some with Johanna, my sister. She has got Marmande, Roma, Bloody Beef Heart, some other things that I can't remember at the moment. There's a cherry in there as well, but I can't remember what it is. So yeah, I'm going to do a bit of swapping out, and then I will take a lot of cuttings of these ones, and they will be passed around the allotments basically. So that is one of the jobs done this morning, which is pretty good, and I think we're probably going to head out to B&Q in not too long amount of time. Okay, so this is the state of play upstairs. I've got the battening on the wall. All this needs to be painted, and the kind of colour I'm thinking of going for is this, which you can see I can't have plastic white light switches with a wall colour like that. It would just look ludicrous. So I've got to swap those over as well. Okay, so I've done a single coat on this bit as a bit of a tester, and I really like the colour. I think it's a goer. So all of this has to be painted, and all of around here, I've been cleaning my brush, and obviously all this wall as well has to be painted. I've only done 1 coat on that chimney breast and this fireplace, but this fireplace here's the original, and if I had it in me to strip it back, I would strip all of this back to the original metal, but it's got like 100 years worth of lead paint on it, and it's just such a task. The inside is stripped off and I'm happy about that, but all of this is just being repainted. And it does have the original brick tiles in here, which I really like, but unfortunately, they've got paint all over them, but I can clean that off. But unfortunately at the bottom there's a piece missing and they've been smashed. So I don't know if I can find a replacement piece or if I'm going to have to kind of replace the whole lot. But yeah, that's where I stand at the moment. It is Monday afternoon. It's my birthday, and the sky actually couldn't be any bluer than it is. I'm supposed to be editing the vlog for tomorrow. I'm not. The weather is, it's absolutely beautiful. And yeah, basically what I'm doing is, what have I done? I pruned the rose in the back garden this morning. Just come up the allotment. I've just been having a look in the pond. The other day, some of our allotment neighbours on the back end came past and said that they'd seen a massive heron lurking in the pond, and described a bit of splashing. So we knew that we would lose some fish, but we've always had fish and we've never really covered the pond, and but obviously they've been discovered, because I was looking in there today, there's not a single fish, and we used to have loads. So, or there's not any that I can see, unless they're all traumatized and hiding right at the very bottom. But what we do have, which I'm incredibly excited about, is toadspawn. It's right in the middle of the pond. I'm going to see if I can show you. It's wrapped around the water lily. But I suspect what it's going to be is a bit of really wobbly footage with a lot of reflection of the pond, and you're not going to be able to see anything, and you're probably just going to have to take my word for it. But yeah, that's what we're doing. I'm also, birthday present to myself, I'm going to pick some of that white sprouting broccoli, so like the sprouting cauliflower. God, basically I just feel really, really relaxed. it's not a good day for filming because it's a Monday obviously, and the kids are in the playground next door, so they're shouting, which is what you can probably hear. There's aeroplanes going over. Can you hear that one? But it is bliss, because I'm so tempted to get the soft chairs out and just lie in the sun. God, it's nice. What else have I been looking at? I've been staring at the apricots, because I am pretty certain I can see some little apricots forming there. I've also been staring at the broadbeans. You know, the ones that have had the robber bees. So the robber bees, instead of going in through the front of the flower to pollinate and to do their business, but well, not to do their business, that wouldn't be very nice, would it? They go in to get the nectar, but instead of going in and pollinating at the same time, what they're doing is just landing on the top of the flower and making a little hole right in the top and just nicking the nectar, which I don't blame them for. It's probably a lot easier than getting inside one of those flowers. But they've been doing that, but I've been having a big old like stick in my face right in the flowers this morning, and I think I can see some beans. So at least some of the bees haven't been sneaking around the back entrance. Yeah, basically I think what you're about to see is a bit of a montage of just what a beautiful day it is. A bit of music, and I'm going to sit here and hope that somebody else edits the video for me. Right, the apricots, I'm really testing like the limits of phone camera's power here, because can you see at the back of those flowers it's like forming a nub rather than like just the flowers falling off and there not being anything there. So I've got really, really high hopes for this. And another bit of difficult filming because this is minuscule. Can you see that bean? So the flower's just about to fall off, and it's not just falling off and leaving nothing. There is actually like a bean shaped thing in there. So that's great. That is great. And for the third bit of difficult filming in a row, so the pond is having its first like really green bloom because we've just had like some really hot weather, and it does this every year, and it will settle down, so don't be alarmed by the colour of the pond. But can you see these little strings? I'm going to stick arrows on the screen, but like there's little black dots in a line. So frog spawn is all in like a big clump, and toad spawn looks the same, but it's in like a string, like a necklace. Yeah, this bit of filming isn't going very well. I couldn't lift it. I have to go and get the... So an actual job we are doing today is, this is the bucket of comfrey that I rescued out of when we were moving this metal shed. And I just dug up all the bits I could find and shoved them in this pot. Look at him, handsome wormy. So I just shoved them in this pot and they've just started to sprout again. So what we're going to do is, because it's so invasive, I mean, we want to have comfrey obviously because it's wonderful stuff. And we have got a few bits dotted around in our actual plot. But what we're going to do is break this up. And you know the path that runs along the side of the allotment, just where I've put up the new fence stuff. What we're going to do is try and foster, look at that, it's growing really well, I'm really pleased with that. But what we're going to try and do is foster along the back a kind of a bank of comfrey and borage and stinging nettles and all that kind of stuff just going along the back of here. So between us and the school. So Mum's just planting it in clumps along the back, and it spreads so quickly. I'm really hoping that we'll just be able to get quite a lot growing in here. We've got quite a lot of borage there already, and something I never thought I'd be doing in my life, I've actually been like transplanting stinging nettles along this edge. There you go. Yeah, so we're just going to try and get a whole bank of stuff that's beneficial to insects and us, basically, along this edge. And yeah. some of these have got massive roots. I mean, comfrey is such a useful plant, it really is. I mean, that's the main feed that we use on the plot, but it is a bit of a nightmare. Oh, hello. Where is he? Being on the bottom of my shoe is not the most sensible place to be. Come on. Pretty humid in here at the moment, and it's really a bit too hot for a lot of this stuff. So the pak choi down here, the dark pak choi, I told you last week, has started to bolt, and you can see it's really gone now, but we're going to have that for dinner tonight. And I mean, it's still lush, it's not gone hard or anything, it'll be delicious. But that's the red one. The green one that's behind hasn't bolted, that's looking really good, so quite happy about that. The spinach behind is just starting to produce loads, and this is the lamb's lettuce, which is just starting to flower. So we're going to completely cut the top off all of this and let it regrow. Even one of the chard is bolting. And have a look, right, so this is in the greenhouse, but look, the first of the potatoes coming through. This is Red Duke of York, which is pretty exciting. And the poppies are looking amazing. I'm going to have to get them out soon because it's going to be way too hot in here for them. And one of the dahlias is starting to make an appearance. Very exciting. So it's so hot today, we're just going to open up the back end of the covered bed because it's hot in there. But look how good this. So this is chicory. This is going really well. Looks massive. They look like massive dandelions, don't they? It's basically the same thing.
Pretty hot in there.
We're growing dandelions in a row. And the turnips are just looking unbelievable. Yeah, that's been a real success this year. It's warm. So before I go home and have an enormous So before I go home and have a whopping great glass of wine in the garden, I'm going to pick some bits and pieces for dinner, and one of the things I'm going to pick is the sprouting cauliflower, which don't even have the words for how excited I am for it. I'm just excited. And the other thing I'm going to pick is some of the dark pak choi, which is sprouted but still totally edible. So I'm going to pick some of that, and got some various bits of other sprouting stuff around, bit of chard, bit of stuff like that. And yeah, I really do have to go home and do some editing, which is a shame because this is magnificent weather. Yeah, so these guys, their stems are still really tender. They'll be delicious. I'm not going to take them right out because they'll regrow something from the bottom and we'll be able to pick again. They're not going to form beautiful, you know, like big fat pak choys like the green ones behind, but they'll keep producing something we can eat, which is nice. And because they've been grown in the poly, they are so tender. Gorgeous. Yes. This I'm really excited about. Oh yeah. And we'll take a bit of purple sprouting as well. Is there anything more beautiful than that?
Is that all right? I don't know if I can actually get this off, so.
Do you want me to do it?
A bottle of...
Ooh!
Ooh! Oh, that went well. That would be nice if I got your face in it. Lovely, darling.
Well, we made it home. What a magnificent day. I still haven't done any editing. It remains to be seen if this comes out tomorrow. It would be a real shame if it was the last but one of a whole year and I didn't get it out, wouldn't it? That wouldn't be good. Anyway, cheers.
Cheers.